all the students and a few faculty members of IIT BHU. This is the third session of ASQ lecture series, Leadership Excellence series, where current today's topic is the best practices for effective time management. All of us are quite engaged and we have a number of things to do. Even sometimes we are acting and thinking parallelly. So today's context is typically regarding the effective time management, how to set the goals, prioritize various things, schedule, and then organizing various activities so that we are on dot over all the committed things which we have slotted. So accordingly, I formally welcome all of you to this session, third session of ASQ LES, and invite and welcome Dr. Manu Vora to please begin with his lecture on best practices for effective time management. So Manu Vora sir, we formally welcome you. Please go ahead with your talk. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Naveen-ji. I want to extend a very warm welcome and good evening to all of you. This topic we are taking today, managing time, is important at both personal level and at the professional level also. So no matter whether you are a student, a faculty, administrator, working in a company, or owning your own business, all of us have a finite time to manage. And unless we know how to get things done, our objective will not be achieved. And as a matter of fact, with the many things coming on our plate every day, we need to figure out a system how to sort things out and effectively manage our time. And this presentation is basically about setting some goals for managing your time, doing proper planning, doing prioritization, proper scheduling, and organizing your own time. So with that, I would like to begin sharing the slide presentation. So give me a second. I need to share the screen. As we mentioned, effective time management, we are starting out. Let me show the roadmap, how to get things done. So there are various activities, begins with the goal setting, and then prioritizing, planning, decision making, scheduling, organizing, managing your interruptions, managing meetings, which is very important, how to avoid the procrastination, how to delegate, and how to collaborate. So that is in total, the time management process. We are going to touch upon a lot of these items one by one, and then we'll have some discussion around them, try to understand how each one of us manage our own time very effectively. So let me begin with some time management quotes. The first one talks about this time, like all times, is a very good one, if we but know what to do with it. So we need to do something with our own time, because time will not stop for anyone. The other good one is from St. Francis of Assisi. Start by doing what is necessary, then what is possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. Great way to tackle the difficult things by starting small, making sure you are getting a success, and keep repeating your success so that you can work on the tough issues. And one last one, I'm definitely going to take a course on time management just as soon as I can work it into my schedule. this is with a tongue in cheek. We don't have time to even schedule the time management course in our schedule. Just to close it out, our very last item, time is free, but it is priceless. You cannot own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. However, once you have lost it, you can never get back. So true. Now, let me go through a couple of myths of the time management. People think time management is a very complex subject. The basic process has only 5 major steps, as we discussed earlier. Goal setting regarding time management, planning, how you will plan your day, your week, your month, your year, prioritizing. You have many activities to finish. Which one will you tackle first? The most important should be at the top of the list. Scheduling, when things will be done and in which order, and organizing. You need to organize yourself so that you are able to manage your time. The second myth is about activity is good in itself. So the real challenge is if we all get busy but don't bring the results by working on the low priority items, then our time is not effectively managed. So the best thing to do is work on the high priority project and items and try to achieve results. Don't get bogged down just in the activities and be happy about it. So focus on results and work on the high priorities, and that's where one needs to spend time. Now, this is an interesting way to look at the 80-20 rule of time management. Now, this is known in the quality area as a Pareto principle, where if you look at any organization, and particularly if you look at sales and marketing, 20% of the people bring 80% of the results. And same is true for managing time. 20% of a person's effort generates 80% of your results. And 80% of your success will come from 20% of your efforts. And therefore, it is very critical to focus on 80% of your time on the 20% of your work, which really matters, and focus on that area of work, using your time effectively. Now, here are some internal time wasters. So if one is not disciplined enough, you will be running into many different things and unable to focus. Same thing goes with if you are not decisive enough, things will not work. Personally, one whosoever is disorganized, they may not be able to accomplish many things. There is a normal tendency to put away things. Rather than tackling it now, we say we will do it tomorrow, we'll do it day after, and that tomorrow will never arrive unless you have a plan to address it. In general, most of us have the inability to say no. We take on many things, realizing that we will not be able to accomplish many of those. Next, we have poor delegation skills. If we want to do everything ourselves, there's no way in the world we can finish everything. So we need to collaborate, delegate things, and work with others. Sometimes people go on a daydreaming. They are sitting in the class or at the workplace, but their focus is not on the work or not on the activity happening at the moment. Next, we worry too much. And are there any other areas? And I'll pause for a second here. External time wasters. Time wasters, there are many interruptions, particularly people get sort of keyed up when they receive the mail or email or phone calls in the middle of meetings. People are working on their smartphones, answering at the same time. And unfortunately, sometimes people while driving, sending the text messages, which is dangerous to everyone, including themselves and others on the road. Office socializing. Now, people are working in the companies, any organization. There is a tendency to get together and do a lot of socializing at the expense of getting the real work done. The third one is the biggest waste of time when you have too many meetings. We are going to pick up this topic next time on how to effectively manage the meetings, because that has a serious implication on the productivity for yourself and for the organization, and also work-life balance. You may get unscheduled visitors pop in, disrupt what you are doing. If the work environment is not conducive, you may not be able to manage your time well. If you don't have a clear goals, what you want to accomplish, you will be dabbling into many things, but nothing gets done. When you need to depend on somebody else, you have to honor their time and availability as well, and that could create waste of your time while you are waiting. And this bureaucratic red tape is very prevalent around the world, where people have created internal processes to suit their own needs rather than thinking about what is its impact on ultimate customers. So in this case, it could be students who may be affected by the administrative processes, or in the organization, employees may be affected by some sort of outdated policies, which creates a bureaucratic nightmare, and so on and so forth. Now, let me share with you the time management metrics by one of the great management and leadership guru, Dr. Stephen Covey. And once it's populated, there are two dimensions. On the y-axis, either important or non-important, and on the x-axis, we are looking at urgent or not urgent. So the guidance from Dr. Stephen Covey is we should spend at least 90% of our time on quadrant 2, items which are important but not urgent. So things like prevention, building relationship, doing the planning, and getting some time out so that you are recharging your own battery. The quadrant 1 should be somewhere around 5 to 6% or less than 10%. One never should be in quadrant 3, and quadrant 4 also is a waste of time. So the guidance is 90% in quadrant 2, about 10% max in quadrant 1, where you are fighting some fire, working on some crises, but it should not consume all your time. So always remember, you want to work on using your time properly on important but not urgent thing. That's where the time should be focused. Now time comes for the goal setting, and I'm sure all of you should have heard the word setting smart goals. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. You need all 5 of them If you have only 3 or 4 out of 5, it is not enough. One needs to set and achieve time management goals. And you really want to hit at the bullseye in the center. Now, in terms of planning, one has to visualize the end result, your goal. One needs to estimate time required for each activity. And how do you do it? This is where, in one of the future sessions, we are going to talk about project management. And that's where you look at the entire issue, break it into small pieces which are actionable, and then you allocate your time to take care of the entire issue at hand. Once you have done that analysis, you develop a schedule and continue to monitor your progress for the time you have set and refine the schedule if needed, and always anticipate and allow for possible problems. Because no matter how well you do the planning, there'll be some uncertain thing and new things which will come up, and you need to account for that and you need to adjust for it. So the guidance here is plan your work first and then work your plan. And this will definitely help you a lot. When you have done the proper planning, execution will come in the next sequence. And I want to emphasize from quality perspective, Dr. Deming, the father of the quality management and quality movement, he gave us a beautiful cycle, Deming cycle, which starts with planning and then do, study, and act. So plan, do, study, and act. 10% excellent planning with 90% flawless execution will get you where you need to be. Now comes the issue of prioritization. I'm sure all of us get a lot of things in our inbox on a daily basis. Remember this simple formula. When you get something in your inbox, take a quick look and see whether you need to respond to it. Then it goes in the do column. Some things you may be able to delegate to somebody else who is able to do it, and you have a faith that it will be done, so you delegate that. Third item is that you need to work on it, but not now because you are busy with something else. So what you do is you want to delay that item. However, on a sticky paper, you want to make a note, item A delayed until next week, and then you have to get back to it and tackle it. And lot of things coming our way in the inbox should be dumped because those are trivial things. You don't need to act on it, and it should never see the day of the light. So always remember, anything you do, there are 4 possible options. Either you need to do it yourself, delegate it, delay it, or dump it. And second guidance is focus on important things first. Remember Dr. Stephen Covey's guidance, important, not urgent. Only address the urgent, small percentage of your time, less than 10%, to get them out of your way so you are back on the important things. Accomplish what you can early. So get small success and keep building on the successes. And we already talked about attach a deadline to things you have delayed by choice. Now, in terms of prioritization, guidance is develop your plans, annual, monthly, weekly, and attach a deadline to the plan. Also, daily make a to-do list. Prioritize and reprioritize your daily list. Work on your top priorities first. The real guidance is focus on outcomes and not just actions. Because we all feel good about doing some activity, but if the outcome is not there, then we have not used our time effectively. And I just want to add my personal story here that I do my daily checklist at the end of the previous day, listing top 3 items which I must accomplish the next day. And during the day, I keep checking on it, work on those things first, and at the end of the day, take a stock. Did I finish all 3? If I finished 2, the third item, which was not completed today, will go to tomorrow's list as a first item, important things to accomplish. And this is how we keep track of items we need to do, which are important. Now comes the scheduling part. The focus should be that one needs to set the realistic deadlines. So when something is assigned to a person, he or she will look at it, find out how long, make an estimate how long it will take to complete that task. And then you allocate the chunk of time you need to work on. Currently with PDA and the smartphone, etc., you can do all your scheduling very easily. And unless you have a good memory, you need to really keep track of your schedule so that you are not doing double scheduling and giving disappointment to people who are depending on you to meet or attend the meeting, etc. So always allocate the adequate time for all stages of the work, do the review, revise more often, check in with your colleagues and clients, and important thing to remember is you are in charge and not the schedule. You are setting the schedule. Schedule is not running your life. Few other items to remember. Every one of us have a creative thinking time. You must use it. It says defend it ruthlessly. Spend it alone, maybe at home or maybe in a secluded area where using that creative thinking time you can accomplish many things quickly. Also, on the other flip side, find your dead time. At that time, schedule meetings, phone calls, and some mundane stuff to wrap up. Now comes the real killer of time, the meetings. Interestingly, there is a book written by Patrick Lencioni, and the title is very enticing, Death by Meeting. And the central thesis of this book is, in general, around the world, most of the time, meetings are boring, and 2, they are not effective. So think of you spending time at various levels as a student, as a faculty, as an administrator, as a person working in the organization, and some of you will be going for the internship. If your time is not managed properly by attending those ineffective meetings, what you need to do is continue, do your own work after the regular time or take it home, and that disturbs the work-life balance. So the simple thing to do is question the need and frequency of meetings. Always ask the question, what is the purpose of the meeting? And then it should be followed up with the agenda. What's the agenda? And why you need to be attending the meeting? What is your value added to that meeting? And always invite the right participants who have something to share. There should be a facilitated discussion so that only one person is not taking over the meeting but there is a consensus and discussion around the issue with input from everyone who is invited to attend is providing. Normally keep the meeting short and always keep the record of the agenda, the decisions, and designated follow-up. That is the action items coming out of the meeting. Maximize email collaboration, document sharing, and work between the meetings. And the guidance is at the front end, we need to have the PAL system, which is purpose, agenda, and limit. In other words, each meeting should have a purpose, should have an agenda, and should have the limit. And at the back end, the meeting will be successful and your time is effectively managed if there is a good planning, very good participation from everyone in the team, and then there is a follow-up, which is tracking the action items and getting the work done before the next meeting comes and you are all getting together again. Now, a couple of research guidance here. In order to have a 1 hour of effective meeting, on an average, a planner needs to spend about 10 hours of his or her time. So do not take meetings lightly. Secondly, meetings are never free, whether you are in whatever setting you are in. If you are a student, you do a quick meeting or you do a long meeting, but if nothing is coming out, you have wasted that time, which could have been used to do the study of the topic and the subject you are working on. And that's a lost opportunity. In the organization, when you look at the hierarchy, higher up you go, more time is spent in the meetings. And if those meetings, according to Patrick Lencioni, are not effective, the organization's resources are being wasted by paying big money to the executives who needs to be having effective decisions done in the meetings. And if those things are not happening, that's a waste of resources. So always remember, meetings are never free, because in the corporate setting, the room where you are going to hold the meeting, there is a rent component to it. Sometimes people have to travel to come to that locations for meetings. So that cost needs to be added up. The gallons of tea and coffee is drank, and lots of refreshments being consumed, that adds up to the cost. And at the end of the day, if that meeting does not bring any decisions or conclusion, that entire effort is wasted. So we'll take this up in a little bit more depth next time. So the real suggestion is avoid time waster meetings. Make sure there is a working meeting, there is agenda, some items or item to be solved, decision to be reached, and always have to have ending time. And the other issue is, most of the time meetings never start on time, and the right people who are supposed to be in the meeting do not show up. So when they come late, you have to restart again, and things are not getting done at the end. So in order to accomplish whatever is not done, you plan a next meeting and a next meeting. And that's how we keep moving from meeting to meeting without getting anything done. Now, telephone meetings, always use the telephone call as a meeting. Keep the call short, and if possible, stand during call and treat it as a business meeting. At the beginning of the call, announce the goal, why you are calling somebody. Don't put your feet up if you are sitting on a table, and something in view that you are waiting to get to next. So that means you have a sense of urgency to accomplish what you are trying to accomplish on this telephone meeting and then move on. And always keep smiling, because that smile will come through the telephone line and other person will feel that enthusiasm and the positivity. Moving on to organizing. For effective time management, please keep an updated to-do list in a priority order. Second item, very important, handle the email or paperwork once on a scheduled basis. You need to develop a filing system, and the deep filing method is you have a major title, then there are subtitles and sub-subtitles under which you are going to file your things. Also use the technology wisely. You manage your professional reading to remain up to date. One need to organize the workspace to match your own mental models. And always remember that project management techniques will help you to manage your time well. And we are going to have one of the Google Hangout in the upcoming series on project management, and then followed up by risk management. And definitely manage your calendar. Now comes the important item for delegating. So if you remember in the very first session on leadership excellence, we mentioned that leaders create more leaders, not just the followers. And how do you create more leaders? By delegating. Delegation means you have some activity to finish, you have somebody who you can work with, is equally capable and able to accomplish that thing in a given time frame. So you should not be just delegating trivial thing to somebody else. If you are able to eliminate, don't do anything with it, dump it. And delegate appropriately, gradually, and strategically to the people. And this is how you keep developing other people to step up. Give support and the credit to the person who is helping you. Time invested in delegating will have a future payoff, because now you are creating new leaders who will rise to the challenge and bring the great outcomes. For delegating, establish concrete goals, set the deadlines, and show the consequences, impact of work in the organization, and if it is not accomplished, what are the downsides. Communication should be extremely clear with respect to delegation. Get it in writing. Most important thing is give objectives, not procedures. By this I mean you need to show the end post. Don't tell them all the steps to go from point 1 to the last point. So set the overall objective and show the end post, and allow the person to use the creativity to tackle the issue in the time provided to them. And also identify the relative importance of this task, because the other person who received this initiative from you as a delegation have other things on their in plate also, so they need to adjust their other work too. Now let me tell you, we all have a difficulty to say no. So we need to learn when to say no. And the basic idea is nobody can do everything which is coming their way. So we should not undertake things we cannot complete. We need to remain consistent to our goals. After all, we are human. So we need to recognize our limits. We need to reflect on it and see what we can do, what we can't do, and try to be honest and vocal about why you cannot do certain things at a given point in time. Either you offer to defer it, say you are busy working on an important task this week, there's a Gymkhana constitution due, so you are not able to take on something at this week window, you will defer it and do it next week. Or when time comes next time around, you will be able to offer help and discuss the workload with the supervisor and suggest an alternate approach. Very important to learn when to say no in a polite but affirmative way, and be firm and don't come out as arrogant or negative person. Handling interruptions, extremely important. For crucial deadlines, make yourself inaccessible. I've seen in the workplaces, people, if they are in a cubicle, they will leave a note outside. They close the door saying, I'm busy this week, please send me an email or leave a message for me for getting together next week if it is important. Also schedule formal check-in meetings so that you know what's going on and you don't have to keep wasting time in the meetings all the time. Definitely schedule a little bit of social time. Be very polite but direct. Offer an alternate time and manage self-interruptions. Sometimes we have a tendency to have our own interruptions coming in the way. So one needs to manage himself or herself first. And if I can reiterate, in order for all of us to become good leaders, we need to manage ourselves and spend 50% of our time to manage ourselves first. Because if we can't manage ourselves, then how can we manage others? That's a very simple rule for leadership. Avoiding procrastination. And doing things at the last minute is very, very expensive rather than doing it sometime before the last minute. Because in general, nobody works best under pressure because you are under a lot of stress and you may not be able to perform exactly as expected. So it's better to do the planning, make sure that your time is accounted for to come to the conclusion. Deadlines are very important, and those deadlines are self-imposed. Respect it and work with it. Also, sometimes we have a tendency when some things are difficult, we keep avoiding it, and all of a sudden they come together and becomes an embarrassment for us. So what you do is, instead of avoiding it, make a list of all of them, do a prioritization, and try to work one item at a time on a daily basis until you catch up and clear out the backlog. We already talked about the work breakdown structure concept from project management. Divide your project into small, schedulable stages. And this is where the analogy is, how do you eat an elephant? One chunk at a time. Except I'm a vegetarian and some of you may be vegetarian, but that's the analogy. You take the large project into small actionable items and work on those. Always ask for help by doing some collaborative work. Don't be a perfectionist. 90%, 95%, if it is going to accomplish what you are trying to accomplish, is great. Keep moving and then take care of the rest of the 5% is appropriate time. And always take a break at the end when you have achieved something significant. Let me stress, the purpose of collaboration is building on the synergy of ideas from others. 1 plus 1 becomes 11 when you have variety of issues and ideas, and when people collaborate, many new opportunities emerge. And that's what we are trying to accomplish in any setting. As a student, as a faculty, as an administrator, as a people working in the corporate setting or any organizations, it's always better to get more than one person's view, work in the team, and then what comes out is much more powerful than your single idea or one-sided opinion. Always ask for help when you need it. And as we mentioned in the first session, the winners of the Baldrige Award tell us that still shamelessly just give the credit. What we meant is when somebody is doing good work, emulate their processes, emulate their method so that you are able to learn from it and utilize it for your own success. So you can always borrow models and template from other sources. Moving on, one need to consider the personal time. Is morning better for you, evening or late night? And in general, I'm good in the morning and sometimes after dinner. So those are the times I'm more effective. In between, I have to find ways to do mundane things during the day. Multitasking and managing your downtime. While on public transportation, you can read something, sitting at the doctor's office, you're waiting for your plane or a train, you are on hold, and when you are early, take a small book with you so you are using your time effectively. Now, at this point, there was a case study provided. Day at the office. I believe some of you may have read it. I'll give you the answers, and others who have not read it can definitely take care of it when the time comes. So the case study talks about a gentleman named Myron who arrived at the office early because he had a deadline to submit something. Unfortunately, with the way the series of activities kept coming during the day, he was unable to address any of the things he was set out to do, even by coming early. And at the end of the day, when he left the office, things were not accomplished as planned. So read the case. Answer to questions is no, no, yes, he didn't do much, and the last answer is yes. So, and this was the suggestion that we need to have some reading assignment along with the topic, and that's why we have a good small case study which needs to be looked at. And always remember that this is not a hypothetical case. It happens to us every day. We need to make the best use of the time of the day, work on the priority items, and the always we have a problem saying no, right? So answers were no, no, yes, and no, because he never completed the task. Okay, just trying to wrap it up. So what is the time management all about? One need to set goals in terms of managing time, need to prioritize your own time, organize it, learn when to say no, use your waiting time, concentrate on the task at hand, consider your personal time, and celebrate success. With that, I wanted to acknowledge everybody, starting with Professor Ashim Kumar Mukherjee, Professor Naveen Singh Rajput, Apurva Saxena, Nikhil Jain, Sainam Kapoor, Diksha Kaushik, Vishal Khandelwal, Venkat, and others who have joined on the node, Apratim from Ramanujan, Rohit from Morbi, Dushyant from Rajputana, Nisha from Saluja, and Shubham from CV Raman. With that, we have two items left. One is a very short YouTube on the value of time, and then the discussion. So with that, let me share the YouTube and then after that we'll pick up the comments going around the nodes.
Thank you so much, Manu sir. Uh, Hello, is it all right?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, even the last video which you have shown really is so convincing and shows the real value of neck-to-neck competition on the completion of the delivery. So it is really good. Even 1 millisecond may be extremely valuable for an Olympian. So
Hmm.
what I felt is that value of money, time will be very crucial typically for the one who is running so fast.
Correct.
So sometimes we have so many deliveries. As you said, the bank gives the whole time every day a fresh account. You have so many seconds to spend, but the idea is how many commitments you are going to deliver and how committed you are. So the way you have explained to create the to-do list, ensure what we have delivered, and to once again queue them up if we could not deliver, so that the next day we assured we are assured that it is delivered. So really it is the time management is the requirement of the movement, not only for students but for faculty members, even administrators, even the way we plan our meetings. So really it is in fact, these are the things we mostly know, but sometimes when they are told like this in a very systematic manner, structured, organized manner, they become more meaningful. And sometimes the things which we have just missed or might not be giving that importance, they once again become so important. So today's lecture was really very good, and I hope even including me, all of us have taken lessons and would be ensuring that we are really able to deliver towards what we have committed and standing committed. So thank you so much. Now we can take other comments also from other students.
Okay. Thank you, Navinji. We go to
Yeah.
ABIT 1, comments and then question.
Yes, thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful talk.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful talk. All the students who have just joined the Hangout would really know the value of time now. And the video that you showed just after the presentation was really inspirational. And on behalf of everyone, I really thank you so much for sharing such a great, valuable lessons with us. Now, I have a few questions from our colleagues. The first question, should I go ahead?
Yeah, and can you come close to the laptop? Volume will be much better. There is an echo.
Yeah, is it fine now?
It's better.
Yeah. Sometimes while goal setting, people tend to become over ambitious. Now, how do we keep a check of that? This is the first question.
Okay, we will take one question at a time. So if you remember SMART, goals have to be realistic and time bound. Because if you are too ambitious, take on too many things, you know for sure you are not able to attack or attach all of those in the window of time you have. So being realistic is very important. And the simple way to do it is make a list of all the things you want to accomplish. And then use prioritization, and for prioritized items, set the goal. So there is a definite order of how to organize and how to schedule your time. Next question, Vishal.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for the answer. The next question is, how do we wisely decide between what is important but not urgent and urgent but not important?
Okay. So urgent, I would put it as a firefighting. That means somebody has given you something which needs to be taken care of, otherwise there are some big issues popping up. Versus important is from your perspective, where you are going to add value in your own life, for your own studies, for your own teaching, for giving it to the organization, and for giving it to the society at large. So this is the demarcation you need to have. Urgent means somebody imposed things on you because something is not working. You are called in as a firefighter, right? So you come in and try to take care of things in the shortest possible time to diffuse the fire, versus important things should come from your own and from within. You make a list of things which are important to you as an individual, and that's where you want to contribute most value. And that's demarcation will become clear once you step through this several times. So I'll put it in perspective. So Vishal, Venkat, Nikhil, I send you a SOS, a urgent message saying please do this by such and such time. So essentially I sent you a signal which for you is a firefighting, right? You have your own activities to accomplish. This is something else has popped up on the screen. And if it is a small item, you take care of it. If it is a bigger item, you come back to me saying that, okay, we cannot finish this in a short window of time. We need some more time and it will be scheduled and it will be done. I'm just giving you a hypothetical case here. And fortunately or unfortunately, hopefully fortunately, I don't want to impose many things on many people, but when some things are important, where we need to collaborate, I'll be sending out messages and requesting for help. Okay, next question, Vishal.
Yeah, the last question is, it's a very simple question. What is wrong in being a perfectionist?
provided you can manage your time. So let me give you one more example. You have three things you want to accomplish, and you are a perfectionist. For whatever reason, you chose the most difficult item to tackle first. And put it in perspective, you are working on your final exam in the final year. There are three topics you can address. Two are seemingly easy, and one is most difficult. For whatever reason, you chose the most difficult one. And guess what? Your time is running away. You have not cracked the whole problem in the entire time. And by the time you have last 10 minutes left, you suddenly realize that being a perfectionist, I'm trying to find 100% on this one. And what did I do? I lost the opportunity to work on the other two simple issues, which I should have put it in my bank first, right? So perfectionist is fine, and to a certain extent, I'm a perfectionist myself. And it comes with my sign, zodiac sign, and also comes with my name. I get into many new things. So, but the point is, if you have the priority, you will be able to accomplish things in an order so that you are not leaving anything on the plate, right? You don't want to leave anything on the table. You want to do your best. So perfectionist is fine, provided you know how to prioritize, how to manage your time properly, and bring the results. Because at the end of the day, the style doesn't matter. People look for results. People look for how well you are accomplishing your task and what good things you have given to the organization, to the society, and what value have you added in your life. So with that, we will go to GSMC. Thank you, Vishal. Those questions were very clear, easy to understand when you are close to the laptop. And thank you all
Thank
in
you so
everyone for attending. Okay, we will go to GSMC, Diksha and Anshika, comment and then question.
Hello, sir. It was really enlightening to hear because most of us know that time is valuable and we need time management in our daily lives. But it is very difficult for us to actually implement it, to get things written and planned. We all know things, we do think about them, we do plan things, but then we don't execute them as we have planned. So it was really enlightening to listen to all this in a very systematic way by someone who is a live example of the implementation. So what I was saying, what I was wanted to ask was like priorities differ with people. Like I have my certain level of priorities. I've decided a level of priorities for my task, but then I have been asked to do certain things by someone having higher authority, and according to that person, the priorities differ. So how will I deal with that?
Priority from your perspective versus somebody else's perspective, right? Yeah. So what you do is you need to have a discussion that what you feel is this is the priority and these are the things you are going to do. And this is where it will be addressed. If the other person has additional input, he or she will tell you why it is more important and why it's of higher priority. So you need to do negotiation. Because in life, nothing is black or white, right? It's generally the gray area. So you need to have a collaborative mode and discussion mode to understand why it is important to them. And then you need to have your sense of what you are doing currently, what priorities can you assign with your limited time, and get things done. So that is very important to address. Okay, any other questions, Diksha or
No, sir.
Anshika?
Thank you, sir.
Anshika, any
So
questions?
firstly, the video was really very touching. I need to thank you a lot for the video. It was really touching.
Thank you.
And secondly, I had a question that you have experienced college life. So regarding the examinations and all, if you can give us some tips, how to
Okay.
utilize time at the best during the examinations.
Okay. So the question from Anshika was how to use the time effectively during the examination. And I can relate to my method when I was at the campus. And this is a good time to at least give you some quick input. Always when I'm at the examination hall, I'll look at the entire paper first, look at all the questions, and then see which are the easy one, low-hanging fruits, the one where I know the answers well and able to do it quickly, accomplish those round one. Then tick mark those which are going to take a little bit more time and I have to do some thinking. That's round two. And then the most difficult one will go at the end. Because as we talked about in the prior comment, if we use up all our time cracking one difficult issue right at the beginning, there's a frustration building, your time is running out, and you are not going to get what you are looking for. So again, simple prioritization. Here you are starting with the simple thing, a little bit more difficult, and the most difficult. And that is the prioritization in a reverse way, right? Tackle simple thing and then go to the most difficult. That's one thing. Secondly, do not leave anything unanswered, because whatever you do not answer, that points are gone from your system. So you definitely want to address everything to the best of your ability. And I would re-emphasize the focus on planning and preparation well ahead of time, not at the last minute. And here I need to reiterate my example during 4 years on the campus. So when I joined back in 1964, we had a class of 30 before I joined. Class in chemical engineering doubled to the size of 60. And it so happened there were 20 people from Mumbai and Gujarat who came on the campus. And so 1/3 of my class came from Mumbai and Gujarat. Most of my friends would not study for the first 8 months. Some of them were very fond of visiting the cinema house and all that. I decided that I've come here to the great institution built by Malaviya ji. My focus should be on studies. So I would study for first 8 months, prepare great notes, and solve past 10 years questions which were available easily, and then have those notes ready for circulation. In the last month, my friends will wake up, they have not done anything, they will go running around looking for notes, and I would not study in the last month. That last month was reserved to be a consultant on demand. And this is where I started learning how to be an educator, how to be a consultant. God's grace, I got the opportunity. And when those students were very smart, but they delayed their learning until the last month of reading and learning things, they will ask very pointed questions, which I would have to think twice before answering them. That allowed me to learn things in more depth. And so that's the advantage. When you are prepared, when you are ready, at the last minute, anything comes up, you have a contingency to handle it. If you are not prepared and waiting till the last minute, guess what? Something happened to health. You are not 100%, then you are not going to get the best performance in your exam. So always remember, planning is the most critical aspect. How do you manage your time and do it in a proper way is going to give you tremendous benefit. And these are just the beginning steps. After you come out of the college with the good marks and a good ranking, you will get into the either higher studies or into the workplace. And that's where all these techniques and all the methods you have essentially institutionalized will help you to achieve bigger and better things. I hope that addresses your question, Anshika.
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful. We'll go to Saluja. I think Saluja, they disappeared. Okay. Let's go to Rohit in Morvi. Rohit, comments and question.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Hello, good evening.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, definitely. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sir, firstly, my comment is for all that we should bring a list of friends who are interested and we should come in time, basically. This is comment for all.
Yeah.
And sir, one question from my side that like in management we supposed to ask some question like if there is a if you are doing a job you will have to like conquer between time management and stress management. So how deal with both things, or we should focus on one, or should have a balance. So just about some points about this thing, time management versus stress management.
Okay. All right. So you brought up a comment about time management and stress management, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So what happens is when so the issue is around time management and stress management, which are coupled. So you have, say, many things to do. If you do it systematically, as we talked about in the discussion time in the slide presentation, you are able to accomplish things and things are happening and you see good results coming. But if you have many things to do, you are not organized, you are not able to accomplish things, then the stress will start building. Because at the end of the day, you have to deliver certain things. So remember, the stress is inherent part of our daily life. Everybody has a stress, and to a certain extent, stress is good. It's a motivator which keeps you going. But if that stress takes over you, and then you do not have a sense of what needs to be done, and then you are moving in all different directions. So very, very important to use your time wisely to accomplish things simple, and also remembering that the most important items needs to be tackled, and within that you are going to have a prioritization, etc. When you begin to do those things, then your stress level will be under control. You are able to manage the stress. Other thing to remember is you'd create a simple system how to manage your stress or how to diffuse the stress. And how do you do that? You take time out after accomplishing a task. So you reward yourself, have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, right? Go and have a small social chat for about 5-10 minutes, release all your tension, and then regroup to work on the next issue. And this is how you continue to develop an internal process which is going to help you to develop a system whereby you are able to anticipate and manage the stress. I hope that takes care of your question, Rohit.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to, yeah, thank you. Let's go to
I like.
Shubham. Yeah. Shubham, uh, comment and a question.
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
The video was really an inspirational one, and as our exams are on the line, this presentation is really going to help us a lot.
Thank you.
So my question was, you gave one point as worrying too much and wasting of time internally at the start.
Mm-hmm.
So even if we don't worry, we don't get the zeal to complete the work. How do we know the differentiating line between worrying too much and worrying to a proper extent?
Yeah, and I think this will be an individual thing, how much to worry and how much not to worry. So you made a good point that to a certain extent, when you have a worry, a little bit of stress is behind you, and you are going to start acting on it and work on things. So in a sense, if you have no stress and you have no worries, you do nothing, right? The time goes away. So point is, again, go back to the basics. What things you need to accomplish in a given window of time. So for example, you have exams coming up. I believe it's starting in November 18th, around that time. So you have a window of time between now until then. You map out a strategy, how you are going to accomplish all the subjects you need to conquer until the time the exams come up. So let me share with you to avoid this worrying about time and stress, etc., I developed a very simple system during my time at the school. And that was, I had 13 subjects when I entered the college. There were 3 math subjects, one in mechanical engineering, machine drawing, electrical engineering, civil engineering, and I had a chemical engineering major. But these courses were required to be taken in Bangkok. So what I did, I developed a simple system how to juggle multiple subjects simultaneously. So more like I would study one chapter at a time for all my 13 subjects and continue to move towards the exam time. And in that era, there was only one final exam after 9 months. We did not have a semester system. At the end of the 9 months, there will be a final exam, and either you pass or you fail, right? So first 8 months, I will have 13 subjects, each one of them chapter at a time, being read and solve the problems, bank it away. And I had a photogenic memory, so if I see the material once, I was able to tackle it in the exam. That's a God's grace. I don't have that memory anymore. But taking all of these items in parallel, I learned how to juggle multiple balls in the air. And that multiple juggling of balls and multitasking has helped me a lot throughout my lifetime, because the foundation came from IIT BHU. I learned the importance of doing things in parallel, and that has allowed me to accomplish many things. And currently, I work on many things simultaneously. And with the single objective, how do I add value to whatever work I'm doing and accomplish some good things? I trust this will address your question, Shubham. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Jeet, we are on a comment and a question. Go ahead, Jeet.
Hi, the session was quite inspiring.
Thank you.
Can you hear?
Life is it's a learning lab, trial and error, right? You do something, if it works, then you repeat it. If it doesn't work, then you change it. That's my general advice. And all these things, it's on an individual basis. Whatever things work for me, I'm just sharing it for you to see if you can do something in your life with similar things. And you may have a better technique to manage time, then I would like to learn from it as well. So this is the way life works. It's a give and take. You learn something, apply it. If it doesn't work, you modify it, make it work for you. And after all, you are in charge of managing your own time, right? Nobody else can manage it for you. Others can provide you more stress by asking for many things at the same time. But then you have to sit down and do reprioritization and do whatever is required to be done. You cannot be just going over other stuff all the time and not accomplishing your important things. So that would be my general advice. With that, I think we are almost coming to the end of this session. And I want to thank all of you and Navinji and all the node coordinators for tremendous support for taking this series forward. We are going to be working on a suitable date for the next topic, which is effective meeting management, and we'll regroup at the appropriate time. And I want to thank all of you, wish you all well in the exams, and do your best, enjoy, and have fun, and good night to everyone.